probably Queen. Thank you, Lloyd, and it really has been a great partnership between our two firms, so I'm delighted to be here. SAP assured me when they reached out that I have full and complete editorial license for as long as I'm up here. Even though when they mic'd me up this morning, there's a wire that goes down my pant leg onto the stage, presumably goes across the ocean to Germany, where somebody's watching this on closed circuit TV and sending high voltage shocks if I say the wrong thing. So, Hana, 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 everybody buy Hana. Get that right? Did I get that right, Lloyd? Okay. And it is, and it really is a delight to be here in Huntington Beach. I was reading online, one of the social media sites ranked Huntington Beach as one of the top 10 coolest cities in America, which makes it easy to spot the utility executives when you walk through the lobby. We do this to ourselves. We descend on cities like Huntington Beach and Miami, and man, we don't blend. But okay, we're a minute into this thing. I've insulted SAP and everybody in the room, so we're off to a good start. Lloyd mentioned my biography. At the end of the day, I've been in our business for 20 years. The utility sector is all I know. I love it. And I've sat at the intersection of utility and IT for my entire career. And man, we're hard on ourselves when we think about kind of where we are. Lloyd talked about a lot of projects that are getting off the ground. But look back on our business. For those of you that have been in the business as long as I have, think back 20 years ago. What did our landscape look like? I'll tell you, we were sleepy little utilities, completely and totally resistant and reticent and nervous to invest capital in technology functions. We had antiquated systems, completely and totally unintegrated. And what have we done over the last 20 years? We've built our back offices out. We've built our work and asset management capabilities. We've built our customer functions. We've integrated all of it. The old systems worked, but they were completely and totally inefficient. They offered a terrible customer experience. What have we done over the last 5 years? We've taken those work and asset management systems, we've mobilized them. We've taken our customer systems, and we've moved them digital. We've started our investment into the smart grid. Successful, wildly successful AMI programs, driven customer value, operational efficiencies, and that's just over the last 20 years. I mean, think back where we were and think where we are. And to Jen's point on the pace of disruption, who isn't excited for the next 20 years? Who isn't excited what's going to happen in our business? And for all of us who operate in kind of the technology space, the role we're going to play in it. It's just extraordinary. I absolutely love events like this, and I love our business. And I'll give you 2 reasons why. Number one, the camaraderie, fraternity, and kind of support that exists in our business is unparalleled in any other function. And a lot of us forget that. And it's nice, you know, SAP has these events all the time, and I guarantee you, people aren't raising their hand to say, hey, we've solved this problem, and other people aren't getting a front row seat to kind of understand how they've done it. So I encourage you over the next couple of days, hear some of these great stories that Lloyd talked about. Learn from them, build your network, because our business, we're all rooting for each other. There's a little sibling rivalry, but we're all rooting for each other. When one of us does well, that's good for all of us, and it's such a unique thing that a lot of us forget. The other thing a lot of us forget in our business, that events like this really kind of help us, is the nobility of our mission. Don't ever forget what we do, because what we do really matters. What we do is front page news, right? On a podium 7 times the size of this, there are presidential debates where they talk about what we do. And I'll tell you a couple of things. There are those of us that operate in this technology space, and all of us in the room do, whether you're IT professionals, whether you're business partners who leverage analytics or automate business processes, system integrators, software companies, whatever it might be, all of us have very marketable skills. Why do we apply it to this business? Because this business really matters. Take that chair over there. I guarantee, and forgive me for anybody who's a chair enthusiast or has a brother or sister that works at a chair company, but I guarantee you the company that makes that chair has a CIO. I have no desire at working for that company. I don't want to come to work every day to figure out how to solve the world's chair problems. And we forget that until we come to events like this. So let me give you a challenge. Build your network, appreciate what we do, and think about this future that Jen just teed up so nicely when you think about disruption. I will tell you this, I will submit to this, because what you're going to hear is a very optimistic view. There are extraordinary challenges facing our business, and I'm going to give you 3 things. Number one, nobody is better positioned and better suited to solve those challenges than us. Number 2, if we don't solve it, other people will. People, not without the kind of holistic business model that we have. Number 3, if they solve it on our behalf, they will not do it in the best interest of our customers. Those are the challenges you need to remember. And all we have to do is go back to work and not change the what of what we do, but the how of what we do. Focus on agility. Focus on innovation. Focus on speed to market. Focus on incrementality. Because the more we do that, the better served we will be. And if we don't do it, others will do this. And I'll give you an example, right? If you were cryogenically frozen for the last 3, 5, 7, 10 years, like Ted Williams, or we're here in Orange County, let's go Walt Disney. Actually, let's do Austin Powers, because he woke up out of his freeze. And you wake up out of your, very inelegantly. If you woke up out of that freeze and you picked up the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, one of our industry trade magazines, you logged into LinkedIn in the morning, you would have no choice but to conclude that our business has maybe 3 to 6 months before complete and total disintegration. Right? That story I just told about the amazing run we've been on for the last 20 years, apparently everybody's missed it. And what they're really suggesting is that we don't have the capability and the skill to answer these problems. And I'll tell you something. Let me give you a couple of examples of kind of when the quote-unquote disruptors take on these problems. These are not bad people, right? These are people with different business models than ours. Distributed generation. Really, really powerful technology is part of our business for the future. We've got to figure out how to make that work. But if somebody's sole business is to sell distributed generation, here's what they will do. They will sell to the people who can afford it. They will cherry pick. Here's what else they'll do. They will cost shift that cost to people that can't afford it. Here's what else they will do. They will not think about it from a reliability perspective. They will not sell distributed generation where circuits can have greater reliability, where we can avoid capital infrastructure investments. None of that will be part of the equation when they sell it. And the last thing, they will not be thinking about the efficiency of that solar generation and how it fits into a balanced supply like we have to do. So who better to solve that problem than us? Because we do it in customers' mind, equity, right? We saw that Brattle Group study about a couple weeks ago that said that distributed generation is 50% more expensive than utility scale solar. So why aren't we going more aggressively with utility scale solar? Let's take another one, home automation, right? Home automation, you know what home automation is to me? DSM, demand side management. We've been doing demand side management for, I don't know, 50 years, and we're damn good at demand side management. And I'll tell you this, if somebody, one of these quote unquote disruptors, sells a fancy looking thermostat, and the utility has no visibility or insight into that thermostat, then it's just a fancy looking thermostat. But if we're part of that ecosystem, if we're part of that channel, then it's valued as a supply resource. And it's valued for demand response. It's valued for energy efficiency. So why not us? Because we can bring this thing together and we can really solve this problem. So what you're going to hear today is a little bit of an optimistic view of the future of our business, embrace disruption, and lastly, if not us, who? Because I don't like a world where it's not us. Let me just take a quick step back and tell you a little bit about my company. Lloyd mentioned it a little bit. Consumers Energy is owned by CMS Energy. We are headquartered, you've probably heard of us, but you may not have heard of our headquarters, which is in Jackson, Michigan. That's the building right there. Just like you, we have a very business model very similar to all of you. Our unregulated company is about 5% of our EPS. We own a whole bunch of independent power plants which sell into the MISO market. We own a bank in Utah which helps customers with financing of energy-related loans and energy efficiency. But largely our bread and butter is the regulated Michigan utility. We are the 4th largest combined electric and gas utility in the country with 3.5 million customers. Us and our good friends from DTE work in the very constructive regulatory climate of Michigan, rated by Barclays as a Tier 1 regulatory climate. Our business model is no different than all of yours. We run a safe and excellent operation. We focus on customer value. We focus on constructive regulatory climates, and we focus on our shareholders. That virtuous circle that all of us seek for in the regulated business model. Take a little bit, step back and tell you a little bit about our history and how we've been performing. From a safety perspective, these are our OSHA recordables from 2007. 558 people did not go home safe on an annual basis. Down to 2014, 73% increase in OSHA recordable incidents. We had a little peak up in 14, and we don't reset our goals. No resets. We're back at it, and this year we're tracking for under 100 OSHA recordables. Last year we earned the Edison Electric Institute Emergency Response Act for our response during the polar vortex of December 2013, where we had an unprecedented cold wave during the Michigan holiday season. So we're really firing on all cylinders when it comes to safety, and we've got continued aggressive goals to get those OSHA recordables down even further. From a customer perspective, we participate in 4 J.D. Power surveys, residential and business, electric and gas, 4 different J.D. Powers. Here's our run since 2010. A little bit of a busy slide. On the left is electric. You can see we're 4th quartile in both of our electric J.D. Power surveys. As we stand today, we are 1st quartile in the residential electric, 2nd quartile in business electric, and we've got a goal to get the 1st quartile by next year. On the gas side, same story, 4th quartile for both. As of last year, we've been 1st quartile for residential gas, and we've goal to get the 1st quartile business gas by next year. So we intend to be in all 4 segments, 1st quartile customer satisfaction. Now, a lot of people say, great safety performance, great customer perspective. Clearly, there must be investing a lot of money into this. Let's look at our cost control. On an OpEx basis, most of our peer group are talking about keeping OpEx up with the rate of inflation or even OpEx flat. On an absolute basis, since 2006, we've taken 10% operating expense out of our budget on an absolute basis. And we've got a plan to get another 7% out by 2019. So this is an and that we talk about all the time, which is we can be safe, we can serve our customers, and we can be efficient. And we do it by relentless focus on the core of our business, relentless focus on our standardized platforms that we have, and just cranking the business through the machine that we have. Relentless focus on continuous improvement and our work management programs. This is an incredible story. All of this story has been recognized by Wall Street. You can see Consumers Energy's performance. From May of 2010, we have 139% stock performance relative to the S&P of 98% relative to the utility index of 60%. So much so that last year we earned the Edison Electric Institute Total Shareholder, I told you I was going to brag a little bit. We're in the Edison Electric Institute Total Shareholder Return Award because not only are we paying a stock premium, but we're paying a very consistent and predictable dividend. So it's been a really good run for us. Great stock performance, great customer performance, great safety performance, and tremendous cost control. All, as I said, working in a very constructive regulatory climate of Michigan, which helps afford this. Market cap growth of 285%. Now, what I just talked about, any one of you can come up here and tell the same story. Because our business has been firing on all cylinders the last 10 years. We don't take enough credit for it. We don't step back and think about it. But we have really performed. And it's more than just a low interest rate environment. All of our stocks have really performed well. All of our J.D. Power scores are up. Even if your quartile hasn't moved, the utility index within the J.D. Power survey is up. We're all focusing a lot more on the customer. We're all having a really good run. It's been an incredible and rewarding run the last 20 years for our business. Now, when I wake up in the morning and read the paper, is that what I read? No, right? Disruption, death spiral, deregulation, death of the business model, solar parity. That's what we all read every day, even though we all know under the covers the way we've been performing and the way we've been firing on all cylinders. And what they're really doing in those articles is they're casting doubt on our ability to answer the call of the new energy future. They don't think we can solve it, right? And you hear about all these terms. The people that write these articles don't even know, right? They just say things like Google and Comcast and Nest and Solar City, and they just say it. But none of them can really articulate how hard it is to do our business and how good we're firing at it, because we don't tell our story very well. And I would tell you that nobody is as positioned to solve these problems in the future as us. Now, this is what I read every morning when I wake up over a cup of coffee. And then we come to events like this, and we talk about the death spiral, and we talk about kind of the declining economic model, and what are we going to do, and the death of our business. I mean, these are the things we spend our time talking about. We overestimate our disruptors, and we underinvest our time in figuring out how are we going to solve these problems in the future. Let's not do that this week. Because let's take our friend Paul Revere, and forgive me as an international conference, but our friend Paul Revere, he is a trusted advisor. We love Paul. He's an American hero. At a time of public safety, he had a great message, and he got it out. And if 300 years later, we needed to get that same message out, that's the entity I want. I want Paul Revere and the Minutemen delivering it. However, if 300 years later, Paul's running around on a horse, screaming at windows, then we're going to look for somebody else. And we are Paul Revere. Think about the experience that we offer our customers. Everybody talks about Zappos and Amazon, and I'm sure it's wonderful to come home from work and see the pair of shoes you want. And I'm sure if the shoes aren't the ones you wanted, and you send them back, and that's wonderful. For 100 years, we have been going in our customer's home. In their home. That is a totally different experience than allowing somebody to return a pair of shoes. That is a different level of trust. Think about moments that matter for our customers. They smell gas in the house. Their power is out, and they're wondering. Business owners are wondering whether or not they should shift operations. Customers are wondering whether or not they should go out for dinner. These are moments that matter, that we solve for. We are Paul. And all we got to do is just change our business model just a little bit, right? Because if Paul Revere is tweeting, I'm in. And not only is he tweeting, but he's incremental. He's agile, right? 140 characters, get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. And this is this notion that we've struggled with a little bit, which is speed to market. Everything is big bets. Everything is scale. And in this new world, we've got to think about incrementality. The days of building 1,500 megawatt plants, over. We're not going to build those anymore. But why not us building 250 megawatt solar plants? Why not us? We're the ones who can do this. And it's all about agility, better customer experience, and greater platforms. And take a step back. As I talked about it, for the last 20 years, we have invested heavily in building out these foundations. Right? We've got our grids in place, our infrastructure in place. We've got our back office systems, all of our foundational technologies. Let's leverage speed to market. It's a culture change. It's not a change in our business model. It's a change in how we do business. Why are we like this? Think about this. Like, take a step back and say, why are we so slow to market? Because the stat that Lloyd just shared with you, the 2%, it's because of the culture. It's because there's a belief that we're not fast to market, we're not innovative. And that's not what I see at work every day. Well, I've worked through my consulting experience, I've worked in about 7 or 8 different utilities. You walk into any other utility in the country, right? These goals look familiar to you. For the last 100 years, since the time of Edison, this is what we've done. Safe, reliable, customer satisfaction, and affordable. We anchor all of our goals on it. We report out to Wall Street on it. We report to our board on it. This is everything we do. Everything cascades through these numbers. Does it look that different in the next 100 years? I don't think so. In the next 100 years, safety and reliability are still job number 1. Okay, the what doesn't change at all. Customer satisfaction will become customer engagement. Affordability will become value, and let me talk about that a little bit more. Customer satisfaction used to mean to us, and I'm not talking that long ago, guys, answering the phone on time and getting an accurate bill out the door. For us, that was success for customer satisfaction. Pardon me, ratepayer satisfaction. Right? This is 5 years ago. Can we answer the phone on time and can we get a bill out the door? That was success. What's success today? Gravitating our customers to channels that they want to do business in. Our customers can feel our commodity now. They're more interested in our commodity, right? We all used to joke that we were in the toilet paper business. You only think about us when you're out of our service. That's not the case anymore. People want to understand where their energy comes from. They want to know where it's sourced. They want to be more real-time and proactively connected to their energy consumption. That's what customer engagement is, and that's a very different function than customer satisfaction. That's measured in a whole bunch of different ways. Let's talk affordability to value, right? Only 5 years ago, we were talking about kilowatt hours, right? You talk to a customer and you say, this is what you're paying on a kilowatt hour rate. You've lost them. That's how we grew up talking about affordability. Then we moved to total bill, which is a much better measure. Today, we're talking about value. So we know at consumers, we've got a series of customers, a small handful of customers, that want to have more green energy than what we offer. Well, then why shouldn't we offer it for them? They want to pay for it. Why shouldn't we be the ones that offer? That's a value conversation. That's not an affordability conversation. It's a value conversation. We know there are customers that want perfect power, whether it be generators. Why shouldn't it be us that offers that? That's a value conversation. Very different. You've got customers out there that are more than willing to pay for incremental services from us, and we watch other people take that business because we're focused on the rate of a kilowatt hour. Wrong conversation. But at the end of the day, has our business really changed that much? Not so much. It's the how. Focus on the how, focus on the speed to market. And let's talk a little bit about why we're wired so much. This notion I call utility 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Here's utility 1.0. This is a hell of a run, 100 years. One-way power flow. We built big plants. Scale mattered. Whatever you can get through a regulator is what you got through. As much capital investment as you can get through a regulator as possible. That's how we grew up. Big, big projects. If you could get to $1 billion, that was awesome. If you could build a 1,500 megawatt plant, that was awesome. No focus on capacity, no focus on economics, no focus on value. And it was all one-way power flow from our plants, over our transmission systems, over our distribution systems to our meters, where our ratepayers took it, and they liked it, damn it. And we lived 100 years that way. And then came our first D word 15 years ago. D word. We sat at a conference like this, and we all panicked about deregulation. Hit our industry pretty hard. Was there a death spiral then? No. Actually, deregulation was very good for our business. I think for sharpening our edge, I'm not sure it's been good for our business. In fact, in Michigan, we're having serious debates with our regulator is driving hard to kind of think about re-regulating the market and moving back to full regulation because the customer value wound up not playing out. But what this forced us to do was think a lot more from a market perspective, focus a lot more on kind of affordability for our customers, driving efficiencies, incrementalities, not overbuilding, because the deregulated entities came in and they cut us out because we had overbuilt for so many years. And they had a value proposition on a kilowatt hour rate. So it was good. It sharpened our business acumen a little bit. Now we enter the digital utility, utility 3.0, which Jen summed up so well. And you can look at these things and you can think that they're scary. You can think that they're disruptive. You can think that they're change. Or you can think they're opportunities. You can look at something like Facebook and figure out, oh my God, somebody's going to post about some bad experience they had with their utility. Or you can think about how we're showing up on Facebook during storms, during national emergency events, and how we're leveraging those tools. And this is an incredible new world that we can be living in. Because I will tell you, all those little things there, if it's not us who's participating in those markets and us who's solving those problems, our customers will lose. And we've got to have a much greater focus around agility, speed to market, and usability. And I'm not letting our friends from SAP off the hook on usability. It took German engineering 100 years to figure out the cup holder. They got to do a lot better on user interfaces. 100 years, damn cup holder, spilling coffee every morning. The digital utility is the place to be where we can actually leverage these for opportunities. It's an incredible opportunity for us. And think about where we are, right? New capital markets, 10 years ago, the capital markets that we're investing in today that we couldn't even think about, the cost of commodity and gas has exploded is the wrong word, has driven tremendous opportunities for midstream investment and investment right into gas T&D systems because the cost of commodities come down, and it's given us the opportunity to invest in our infrastructure without increasing rate to customers. We couldn't have seen that 10 years ago. The smart grid, did we really know what that capital opportunity was 10 years ago? New markets to invest capital opportunity in that we'd never seen. And now the EPA power plant, right? Many of us spend our time whining and complaining about that. That, if we handle that right, again, tremendous opportunity for us to invest capital into generation, to the right kind of generation. Incremental plants to take our fossil fuels offline and bring on more renewables onto the grid. If not us, then who, when you think about a reliability perspective? So these are tremendous opportunities for us to play. Let's think about the IT evolution. We talked about this a little bit before. This is a nice life, mainframes, right? Some of us are still trying to get out of the system, but by and large, most of us spent 100 years, 50 years leveraging these mainframe systems. Unantiquated or antiquated, unintegrated, terrible customer experience, cost a fortune to make changes to these systems, terrible experience, lack of efficiency. And that was largely how we lived up until the mid-90s. Then we embarked on these big behemoth CIS and ERP replacements, which Lloyd mentioned a lot of you are still taking on, but most of us as an industry are coming out on the back end of that. They're difficult projects, right? They're projects that promise a lot of value. They're hard. They're $500 million projects at least. Regulator scrutiny, testing a lot of kind of customized systems that you got to replace, processes that are undocumented. This is how we kind of went for 15 years, building these systems. And a lot of us, when we were done with them, we're done, right? We thought we were done. But now look at our architecture today, the always-on architecture, with that core replacement sitting in the middle. Digital customers, digital grid, analytic platforms. This is what we're diving into. And those big behemoth investments that we made 10 years ago are the foundation of everything. Very, very similar slide to what Jen shared before, kind of that digital core. We didn't realize it when we implemented those systems 20 years ago, those big ERP and CIS systems, but we were actually implementing our digital core. Now, let's think of the business leader evolution. For 100 years, those business partners in the room, you've been an operator, all about operational metrics. Same metrics year over year, continuous improvement, continuous improvement. Today, with greater pressure on efficiency, greater pressure on change management, the change curve, the disruption curve that we have to welcome into our operation, you have to change from an operator to a change agent. You've got to be a technology evangelist. You've got to drive your decisions off of data. Right? That's a big change for our business partners as we enter into this new world. Now let's think about the IT leader. For years, the CIO was a technical expert. You came into my office and we gave you some technical advice and you left, right? And that was great when the company was investing, I don't know, $10, $15 million a year in capital investment. Let me give you a couple of numbers from Consumers Energy, and I'll share you these numbers because all of you have the exact same story to tell. Over the last 5 years, we have doubled the amount of capital investment into the IT function at the company. Doubled the amount of capital investment. Over the last 5 years, we have 103% more servers today than we had in 2010, 147% more terabytes of storage than we had, 56% more devices, 42% more calls to our help desk on an annual basis than we had 5 years ago. So the notion that somebody's just going to knock on our door and ask for advice in this pace of change and the consumerization of IT is totally different. The CIO that behaves this way is the CIO that loses and their company loses. You've got to enable self-service. You've got to enable more agile platforms where you can allow people to increment on the existing platforms. So today, we are the orchestrator. Good, solid information architecture, good, solid integrated technologies, data governance, and we've got to be the change agent of the company. Less and less the requirement of this role is to actually be a technical expert. More and more the requirement of this role is to know the end-to-end processes of the company as good or better than our business partners do. because the technology is becoming more and more turnkey. That's the change. If we make these changes, both on the business partner side and on the IT side, sky's the limit. The opportunities for us are unbelievable. Utility 3.0. Again, you can think of these as opportunities or threats. Usability, speed to market, agility, digital. These are words you've got to focus. If any one of you, other than kind of a big foundational investment, has a $50 million IT project going on at your company, go home on Wednesday and cancel it. Because it will not provide the value that you thought, unless you're putting in these big foundational systems. And if you're putting in the big foundational systems, that should be all you're doing. Okay? Go home and cancel that project and go create 10 $5 million projects. And use those existing platforms and drive business value and focus on turning around value in year, everything in calendar year. Okay, those $50 million projects are losers. Go back and cancel them. I know, you got to write them off to O&M and So think about this world as an opportunity. Look at this world as we think about the delivery of electrons from one end to the other to a platform, right? All of a sudden, our infrastructure, our regulatory environment, our core of our business is no different than a technology platform. So it's interesting. It's rewarding as IT professionals. You hear people in the T&D functions of our business and the generation of functions of our business speaking like us now, putting a priority on integration, putting a priority on data, putting a priority on incrementality. Those were not things that happened before because what they did was not analogous to what we did. There is no difference anymore between the fundamental T&D infrastructure of what we do and the core system sitting in our data center out in the cloud. These things are converging very close. Let's talk about data. This is the way we think about data at Consumers Energy. Integration, algorithms, visualization. And Jen and Lloyd both talked about this. Now, it's amazing. 4 years ago when HANA became a thing, I remember kind of hearing the original pitches. And all you ever heard was, it's fast. It's fast. We benchmarked it against these three other things. It's fast. Great. In-memory computing, we get it. It's fast. But what is it? And then it was, this will cure all your bad queries. Just run bad queries on in-memory computing and you're good, right? That was the, forgive me, the shock is going really hard right now. I think he's more mad about the cup holder joke. The fast part wasn't interesting to us. What's interesting to all of us is the integration, right? And look at that top layer, the visualization. Do not buy data and analytics platforms because you saw a pretty dashboard. That is the wrong case. That is the last thing you need to be talking about. So what we do is we focus on integration, and these guys finally solved it from SAP. The partnerships that are being built with companies like OSIsoft, focusing on getting that foundational thing together where you can bring all of these data together, or you can orchestrate queries across multiple environments. The integration is really the difference, not the computing power. Stop talking to us about the computing power, please. We get it, it's fast. Algorithms and information, right? What makes a transformer at risk? What makes a customer have a high propensity for an energy efficiency programs? These are things we're looking to source, not write, not code. And again, really, really incredible stuff, as Lloyd mentioned some of the opening remarks and some case studies that you heard about this week, of companies that are leveraging out-of-the-box algorithms to totally change the way they're making decisions and how they do their business. And then lastly, visualization, right? The pretty dashboards come last. And frankly, at Consumers, what we're doing is when we think about visualization tools or tools that do situational awareness, we're putting a premium on those that are engineered on HANA. So come down from the visualization down and make sure that they're engineered on the HANA platform. Don't move the data to the apps, move the apps to the data. That's kind of the big strategy. So when you think about big data, always start at that integration level. If somebody comes to you with a pretty dashboard, kick them out. Our architectures for me. Today we have two very distinct architectures, OT and IT. And even in the throes of our AMI investments, it still feels very distinct. But they're coming together. And I'll tell you something, the cost is all in that blue enterprise integration box. So we've done, you can see the gray applications. We've done a great job over the last couple of years of putting in all those foundational systems. We've got to focus on data quality, and we've got to focus on integration. The stuff at the bottom is interesting and very helpful to the business, but it doesn't provide the exponential value unless it's integrated to the stuff at the top. Do not look at these architecture decisions separately. And again, powerful tools like HANA with these incredible integration capabilities that have been built allow us to really think about this as one seamless architecture. This is our architecture at Consumers. And what we're really focused on now is the integration piece. Getting all those enterprise apps that we've put in together to be tightly integrated So when we start bringing in the sensors from the bottom, we have a single source of the truth. But don't think about these architectures as separate in our new rules for the road. In closing, these are the good old days, okay? There has never been a better time to be in this business. I'm going to try to be hip. Don't believe the hype. Well, that wasn't hip at all. I'm trying to raise the cool factor a little bit. It's not working. These are the good old days. These are incredible opportunities to enrich our customer experience, to capitalize on those relationships, 100-year-old relationships. Leverage the integrated grid, leverage big data, customer programs, right? Our customers it's no longer a debtor's relationship. You call us when you want power and we call you when we want money. That's the old relationship. The new relationship is we've got a portfolio of products that we can work with you on. Low income, energy efficiency, demand response. We can get you closer and closer to your commodity. We can be the ones who sell you products. We can be the disruptors. I'm going to leave you with a couple of rules of the road for the future. One, our industry, there is no medal for being first. We've seen a lot of us try. Doesn't work so well. Okay? Learn from each other. Do it at the right cost-effective time. Benchmark. Make sure there's a business need that you're trying to solve. Don't try to just blaze a trail, because we've seen as an industry we've struggled to be first to market. No big bets. Everything is about incrementality right now. Don't build that 1,200 megawatt plant. Focus on the incrementality of plants. Don't do that big technology project. Think about incrementality on your existing platforms. Big bets are not the path, because when you do big bets, disruptors come in. And you're not focused on how you can leverage those disruptors. Innovate the core. This is a great one. Any one of us in our business could have invented the internet. You could have invented Google. You know how much you would have earned from an ROE? 10%. Everybody talks about innovation in our business. If you invented the internet, you would have earned a 10% ROE. And you would have spent a lot more than that on R&D to do it. So don't. Invest in your gas and electric infrastructure. Innovate your gas and electric infrastructure. That is the core, and there's a lot of innovative things we can do on this core. But when you're off doing innovative things that are totally outside the core of our business, one, you're not going to earn the rate of return that you think you're going to earn. You're risking your rate of return. And two, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to disruption. Don't overestimate the disruptors. If we spend our time over the next few days talking about what all these disruptors are trying to do and not thinking about how we can either bring them in or raise the same capabilities, then we're wasting our time. Integrate supply and demand. Go back to the things I talked about before. Only us can take demand response or energy efficiency and value it as a supply resource. So the more our customer programs and the more our energy supply organizations are talking to each other and thinking about how we can leverage supply and demand as one integrated view, our disruptors don't have that vision. And they don't have the vision of being able to integrate supply and demand as a reliability resource as well. So think about things like demand response and realize the unique position we're in, having a retail business and a wholesale business. And then lastly, run it as a business because it is. Run your company like a business. Take cost out, be efficient. Don't just get it through because the regulator accepts it. Think about customer value. Constrain your capital programs based on rates, not based on what the regulator will allow. Think about customer affordability and that and customer value. It is a business. There's a lot of people out there that want to disrupt it. If we run the same way we used to run, we'll be vulnerable. If we run it like a business and we do the same exact thing only faster, we will be extraordinarily successful. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I believe I'm going to turn it back to Lloyd to close out the morning session. I don't know. I'll leave it at that.